All right, back at it again with another episode talk, Spiritual Art of War. And this time, I'm going to give a talk about Cardi B and her, love triangle with Offset and Stefon Diggs, okay? Now, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who Offset is, one of the rappers of the trio known as the Migos, who, of course, a few years ago lost one of their members in, Takeoff. And this is one of the very interesting things because and I'm going to kind of like have to give like somewhat of a backstory dealing with Cardi B. Now, Cardi B, she's from New York. As you know, Offset is from Atlanta. Cardi B is a rapper, female rapper from the Bronx. She is actually, her dad is Dominican, her mom is Trini. She does identify herself as an Afro Latina. Okay, so for those of you who are wondering, she does identify herself as an Afro Latina. So she it does not lean in all the way to just being viewed as a Latina, meaning she understands her so-called, you know, black roots, as people would call it, right? Now, moving on from that, she was involved in being a stripper. She ended up on, reality show. People fell in love with her personality, and that kind of springboarded her into moving into music, which a lot of people in the reality TV world, they try and do that, and most of the time it doesn't lead to much success. In fact, it doesn't. It rarely leads to success. Some of them will have a little bit of a buzz, and then they'll taper off. And it's just another avenue for them to make money. But Cardi B signed with Atlantic, as you know, they do 360 deals. So they're gonna put a machine behind you, a marketing machine. They're gonna get you some writers, some producers. They're gonna make some nice music videos, and they're gonna see if it's gonna stick. And she was a home run, one of the home run hitters for Atlantic Records when they started doing that 360 deal stuff. If you want to know more about the music industry and music deals and things like that, a great person to follow is DJ Academics. Okay, DJ Academics, if you really are interested in the inner workings and the in and out of the music industry, he is one of the best ones that's going to give you a great amount of insight about the music industry and about some of these contracts and how they promote these artists and entertainers. I think he has very good insight, and he's definitely somebody that if you're wanting to keep up with major music industry news, he's good to follow. Yeah, he does have some biases. We everybody knows he's a big Drake fan as well. But he does give you insight even to Cardi B's situation from a musical perspective and where she's going next. She's supposedly supposed to be releasing an album, supposed to eventually drop a single. No telling how that's going to go. I will say this, that when it comes to rap, a lot of female rappers are getting a lot of play. They're making a lot of moves. And so I wouldn't be surprised if she does have like a decent single, if she has the right person on there. And like I said, I'm not really into female rap. I'm not into a lot of modern rap anyway. And I'm not really too much, as I got older and I started understanding more old school rap and, its influence, a lot of it I don't really kind of get into. I kind of like some certain old school elements of certain aspects of rap from back in the day. Um, your rap, certain type of songs. There's certain songs that are just kind of on that list that are just what you call motivational rap songs, songs that make you think, songs that kind of make you think with a more sharper revolutionary mind, if you get what I'm saying. But for the most part, this stuff is just ratchet. It's, what I'm saying, it's thugged out. It's basically a death culture. So, as you know, Cardi B blew the hell up. okay, blew up. Like Cardi B made so much money off that one album and the touring that she did, the big major smash singles that she did. I mean, we're talking about she dropped the biggest female rap album that even surpassed some of Nicki's stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what led to their rivalry because Nicki's actually a writer. She really writes her stuff. She's not even just a rapper. She kind of does pop. She can do a little bit of singing. So Cardi B, Nicki Minaj is like on a different scale in terms of talent than Cardi B. But Cardi B had the engaging personality that won a lot of people got won over. And I think, and this is what I talk about when you're dealing with women. A lot of people don't even understand it. Even some men don't even understand this. Okay, and as someone like, as someone who was, I would call myself growing up a beauty connoisseur. You know what I'm saying? You understand when women have a magnetic, engaging personality that outshines her physical beauty. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, when a woman is good looking enough, but then she has what people call a dope personality, those are some of the most dangerous women out there. And the reason why, because a lot of men initially underestimate these women, and then the personality really wraps them in, and they kind of get like caught off guard. And these are some of the most some of the women that really make the men go the craziest are these type of women. The one who you you didn't her attractiveness was on a level maybe where it was decent enough to you, like a 6 7 range, but then you got around her and she engages with you personality wise, and then you realize that her personality is different from other women that are better looking than her, and you feel more at ease, you feel more at yourself, you feel like you don't have to do so much for her to show off. And a lot of times she's returning energy, she's reciprocating. Okay, and men love reciprocation, something you don't get from true baddies, right? So this is the reason why I think that someone like Cardi B is very dangerous when it comes to these love triangles, because she already had a lot of soft skills when it came to being a stripper, and probably even we know what strippers do overall. And one of the things that these type of women, they're able to do is because they're around men that are moving in their carnal mind, and they're around these men a lot, they understand a certain aspect of a man's ego that the average woman doesn't understand. This is the reason why even in the Bible, it was always talking about to not that don't deal with women that have known man by lying with them. Okay, now this was done for the Levites. They had to only be with women that were virgins, untouched. And then also when it dealt with concubines taking war brides from other groups. This is in the Bible. So what happens is when a woman is in the industry, in the lane of the adult entertainment field, they pick up on certain nuances and aspects of men, and know how to push men's buttons and pull certain levers to adjust to different types of men that they run across. And this makes a woman like Cardi very, very, very dangerous in these love triangle situations. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because Cardi B had 3 kids with Offset. Do you understand? I don't think people even understand, like when I'm talking about this Cardi B situation. That's why I have to give I have to give a runway towards this subject, bruh. Because a lot of guys wouldn't really understand this. Now, Even a guy like BGS Ibmore, he will let you know that this is called a diesel. This is what you call the diesel class. And shout out to BGS Ibmore, who talks about the different classifications of women, because there's a lot of truth to that. And what people don't understand about diesels is that diesels are the type of woman that they're survivalists. So they know how to really dig in deep into areas of their what one would call the dark arts of woman, that is able to engage and manipulate and pull and tug at the inner part of a man, bro. And why am I saying that, man? Because Cardi B objectively is not really a baddie. She got work done. When you look at her when she first got in, right? Her nose was a certain way. She didn't have, her teeth were a certain way. She just had the fiery personality. And she went and got a little bit of work. She got her work done. You know what I'm saying? Before she dropped the album, she got her teeth fixed. Remember, she had the saying, got a bag, fixed my teeth. Okay? She went and got a little nose job. She's had another one, probably 2 or 3 more after that. But she went and got a little nose job. She went and got a little BBL. She went and got her, her chest augmented, and to make herself more presentable. So mind you, a woman that was a stripper who was working with a lot less than the add-ons, that was able to still pull men largely off of her personality. You could say her youth and her personality, but definitely her looks were not her big asset, right? So she improves slightly. She improves a bit with surgery, right? So let's say she was like a 5.5 when she was pre-surgery, maybe a 6, maybe a 5.5, 6, depending on what you think, right? When she was on the reality show before she got the work done. She gets the work done leading into her album. Let's say she jumped to like a 7, 7.5. Maybe not true baddie range. A baddie starts really at an 8. Okay? That's where a baddie really starts, is on a scale of 1 to 10. A baddie gets to an 8 level. So I'm going to say she was like a 7.5. She was still able to pull a guy like Offset, who's coming out of Atlanta, big time rapper. Everybody knows the level of woman that are in Atlanta in terms of looks. There were women there in Atlanta he wasn't even interested in. Now, he did have kids with other women. I think he has children with one other woman, if I'm not mistaken, prior to Cardi B. But think about the fact that this dude was scared of losing her when she wanted to leave him. Now, one could say is also a money component. There's a social status component of being with Cardi B. But Cardi B was obsessed with Offset. I mean, she was making songs like in the early stages of her rap about how she was with Offset. She was obsessed with this guy. And that is a very interesting thing, because it's very hard for a man to become a woman's imprint after she's been in the sex work industry. That is a very hard thing to do. So what I mean by that is that there was something about Offset that Cardi B became obsessed with, that made it to where all the other men prior to him, he was able to be clearly, far and away, her imprint. Meaning the man who had the biggest impact on her psychologically is Offset. They have their issues. Offset seeing other women, and her finding out about it and her being upset, because at the end of the day, this guy's a rapper. This guy, also does the narcotics. He drinks. He's touring. He's away from home. He's a quote unquote rock star, if you can say. He's going to more than likely dibble and dabble into other women, and she's eventually going to find out, because these type of women that get with these guys, they don't mind telling these women and saying, hey, I got your man. Your man was with me last night. Your man loved me. Look at the money he sent me, yada, yada, yada. So these women start talking. She finds out. She gets jealous. And bam, it leads to arguments and back and forth, right? And eventually he had proposed to her, married her, had 3 kids with her, and then still had the same issues. Now, for whatever reason, Stefon Diggs, who was in Houston, played for the Texans last season, just signed a 3-year deal, about 60 something million. I don't know how much of it's guaranteed with the New England Patriots. He also has a brother, Trayvon Diggs, but that's a whole other story concerning him. Stefon Diggs has one child, a daughter with a woman. He's getting into a relationship with a Cardi B, who has 3 kids by a rapper. And to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Now, one of the things that recently posted was an alleged picture by Cardi B showing one of one of the children, the son that her and Offset had, in the same braiding hairstyle as Stefon Diggs, which led to a threat from Offset. Now, why am I bringing it up? Because women, when they leave an ex, they want to make that ex feel some type of way, hurt him. And a lot of times men don't understand that even though this woman is with you, she has not gotten over her ex. This is the reason why back in the day, a woman divorcing was leaving her husband was looked down upon. It basically was was something that was going to lead to instability, because if she leaves her husband, gets with another man, now that her and that man, her man and her ex-man, now will have conflict that can lead to warfare. It could lead to not only one side hurting one man hurting the other, but it could lead to a greater war and instability within that community, town. Okay? So this is the reason why you see a lot of the reasons why the Bible is written the way it is, to protect us and to keep us at peace with not only ourselves, but with our neighbors, right? So he's sprawled in the middle of this situation. And it's like you wonder his motive around this. Now, I'm going to say this. Let's put ourselves out of this and let's look into the mind of an athlete, NFL player. You're making all this money. You have all this time off. And imagine if you actually grew up and you're like in high school or you're in college and you're seeing Cardi B, doing something, and you're like, you found her attractive. Or you're like, yo, when I get to the NFL, if I get my money up, I'm going to smash some of these R&B chicks, these rapper chicks if I can. So this guy could just be living out like a side quest fantasy while he's in a league of just getting certain woman in the industry just for the sake of saying he did. This is the reason why I don't think that this relationship between her and Stefon Diggs is really going to go anywhere, because I'm like, how are you going to get with a woman that has 3 kids? Not that she can't have kids, because she's like 32 years old. He's 31. So her womb more than likely probably still works to have more kids. But why would you want to join yourself into creating a blended family like that? And this is why I don't understand these athletes. I don't understand these rappers that are getting with women that have been with other celebrity males that you probably have to run across. You're probably going to go to a party or spot. You might go to a club in Vegas or LA or Atlanta or Houston or Miami or New York, and you might be in the same place as this guy. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're talking about guys that are making money. These guys are worth, in the mid 8-figure range. Some of these, these guys are probably worth in between 20 to $50 million, right? These guys have an audience. They have certain things that they can do. And sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. But the only sense you can make of it, right? It doesn't make any sense, but if you're going to make any sense of it, just imagine being an athlete. Cardi B comes out, I forgot what year, about a decade ago or so. I don't even remember, but it's been a long time. You could say like 7, 8, 9 years ago, roughly thereby. And he might have been in college looking at her on a music video and been like, okay. Or he might have been starting in the league and he might have seen, the WAP video with Cardi B and freaking, Megan Thee Stallion or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And he might have been like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And he might have been like, yo, I got to get at that. And if I got a chance, if she ever break up with Offset, I'm in there like swimwear. And this is what happens. A lot of times we, as men that are not famous, sometimes we criticize these men in a way where we don't really understand what they're dealing with on that other side. Because a lot of times we're Monday morning quarterbacks sitting back saying, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. But you got to think about it for a second. These guys are dealing with women that you will never be able to attract. You're not even running in those circles. And I'm not talking about like a dude dealing with like a local city IG model and being able to pull her one night when, her favorite rapper is gone. If you kind of on that, on a certain level, you probably could, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like real celebrity females that are at the level where it's like you got to be a celebrity also to pull these women. Athlete, you know what I'm saying? Entertainer, something like at the bare minimum, a really highly recognized influencer like a Justin LeBoy type. You know what I'm saying? Like those type of dudes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even Kaisa will have a hard time pulling a lot of them chicks in the industry. And he's like one of the biggest influencers out there, right? So we have to understand like how we got to view these things and how these guys move. And sometimes these guys are just doing something because they're trying to just do something and get it out the way, right? They're just going to get with her 6 months, 9 months, wears off, it's over. Now, from their interaction, I've seen a pretty decent chemistry from them, They were at the Knicks game. I've seen videos of them at the Knicks game, you know what I'm saying? And they had pretty good chemistry that you see from these lustful relationships in its early stages, you know what I'm saying? But, it's a very interesting situation. And I remember Cardi B, when she was like breaking up with Offset, she let Offset know like there's guys that want to get at me that would make you sick. And I believe her because she is one of the biggest female names out there. And I don't think there's a celebrity male that would not at the bare minimum lay with her. I don't believe that there's many. I don't think as far as among the so-called black celebrity athletes, rappers, entertainers, influencers, bro, I guarantee you 95% of them would get at her. You know what I'm saying? 95% of them would get at her. And I'm talking about like big time guys. You know what I'm saying? Big time guys that are, in the industry, of course, other rappers and a good chunk of them athletes too. Big time. You know what I'm saying? So we're not talking about a woman that doesn't have access to men, at least on a sexual level. Relationship wise, there's a whole nother story about whether or not a guy is going to give her access to a relationship when she has 3 kids with Offset. Another thing with Cardi B has on her side, Cardi B is not a woman that's like busy. She's not like trying to make an album every year. She's not going on tour. She made so much money off that first album. I think she had a deal with Pepsi. The Pepsi deal. I mean, even with the 360, she got her chunk, bro. She got her chunk. And she can live off of that. She's literally living off of that one album. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you've never seen anything like that, where somebody's able to just drop one big album, bunch of singles, music videos, tour off that one album, and literally damn near sit for years, and it's not even hurting them because they got so many other avenues of being able to make money. So she's a woman that is able to sit down, and a dude's able to really kind of enjoy a relationship with her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you see how she's moving around with Stefon Diggs in the off season. So it's a very interesting thing, man. It really is. It's a very interesting thing. I'm like, wow. When you look at it from that perspective, you know what I'm saying? You see how it is. And Stefon Diggs, those type of guys, they actually kind of make sense for her. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she's with a Jalen Hurts or something. You know what I'm saying? You know, Jalen Hurts just got married. I think it was with no prenup, too. So you got certain guys that when you look at how they move, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And you know, it's not like she got with a small time guy. You know, Stephon Diggs is a very talented player. He's been making, making good money. You know, moving around from team to team, but he making bread. You know, him and his brother. So it's like, his situation is looking, is looking lovely on a Babylonian scale, if you know what I mean, right? So, but Cardi B is playing a dangerous game with that whole Offset thing, trying to make him jealous, envious, or whatever. And the very interesting thing is that Cardi B knows like that Offset can get a badder chick than her and a younger chick than her, and he can always like grab one of these other female celebrity chicks, man. That's really like a big, like a woman who's on a certain level. I forgot, but somebody, what's this guy's name? The other Migos, Quavo. Cause I forgot Quavo's dating like one of these IG models that's like heavily sought after. I think she's an IG model. I can't remember who. Because I know he was with Sweetie and they broke up, but he got with something else. And you know what I'm saying? And that was like one of them top ones. Just can't think of who it is. You know what I'm saying? But this is what it is, man. In these days, man, observing these type of things. And like I said before, there's women out there. Cardi B is a kind of example in that world of a woman whose looks, um, even her sister Hennessy Carolina is like way prettier than her. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever seen her, her sister Hennessy Carolina is like on another level compared to her, right? But Cardi B is one of those women that, which I'll probably have to do another video on that about these type of women and kind of maybe go down certain stories of women that I kind of met over the years that kind of exemplified some of these things. But we'll kind of give an update. I'm not really kind of wanting to go too deep into this subject. I just kind of wanted to go into that whole love triangle between Cardi B, Offset, and Stefon Diggs, and kind of where it's going and how we can learn from that and understand that a woman can be with you to make her ex jealous and triangulate you against her ex. So you got to be aware of that. That's why when you talk to these women out here, especially if you're pursuing serious relationships with a woman, because you know um, you don't want too many women to be in your energy, right? You don't want them to take away from you as well. So always examine like what is a woman's motive, because you don't know if a woman's motive is like she looking at you like, you a handsome dude, or man, you got money, and I know my husband, my ex, he ain't on your level in this area. A lot of times that's what they'll do. Their ex might have been may have not been as good looking as you, and they know that you're presented in such a way where it's like you're clearly going to be a guy that's an upgrade in that level of looks or status or money. And a woman will use whatever it is that you perceive to have that her ex doesn't have, and will try and drive, that jealousy in him, because especially depending on how they broke up, as a way of kind of punishing him with the next man. Like, hey, look at who I'm with, look who I'm dealing with, and I'm they're gonna carry themselves such a way you don't even know this is all motivated by this rivalry she has with her ex. So you have to be mindful of that as well, okay? And don't get yourself caught up in a situation like Stefon Diggs where this woman is using that situation to make her to fulfill her ego at your expense. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.